Hi guys, welcome back. First and foremost, I got sick of looking at my lamp in the corner here, so I've introduced my friend. This is Hank. I named him because I haven't killed him yet. It's a rubber tree. Anyway, so that's why he's in the background now, because I kept looking at my lamp and was like, it's annoying. All right, guys, welcome to lesson 4. We are, if you're following along at home, Saxon 8-7 in the second edition. Today we're going to be talking about the number line. The number line is this guy that looks here. We're going to put 0 in the middle. And the easiest way, I think, to remember how the numbers go is, for most of you, you're right-handed. So you just think as you're writing, you're getting higher and higher, right? You write, and you get higher in numbers. So 1, 2, 3, okay? Then as you go left-handed, you're going to go -1, -2, -3. So that's what our number line is going to look like. For you left-handed folks, I'm sorry about that. You're just going to have to remember opposite, right? The other thing is, with negative numbers, the further away from 0, the smaller the number. So when we're talking about positives, 3 is obviously larger than 1, right? With negatives, it's flipped around. -3 is smaller than -1, okay? So you got to keep that in mind when we're talking about these. So for example, if I asked you to put 0, 1, and -2 in order from the least to the greatest, you would want to start with the smallest one, which is -2. Then on our number line, we would have 0 and then 1, okay? So let's see what else we have here. Okay, so we're going to talk about addition and subtraction of, I'm sorry, I should back up and say that negative numbers are called integers, and not just the negatives, but that's also the whole numbers. So integers are whole numbers and their opposites. And when I use opposite in this term, I'm meaning if it's a positive, it's a negative. If it's negative, it's a positive, right? So whole numbers, again, are everything above 0, or including 0, I'm sorry. 0, 1, 2, 3. Now 0 is neither opposite nor, negative or positive. But for the purposes of this, we'll just talk about these other ones that are not 0, okay? So 1, 2, 3, the opposites of those are -1, -2, -3. Those are all integers, okay? The big thing that I have here is when we add integers, guys, I've said this before, I'm a mathematician, mathematicians are lazy. What we're gonna learn is only how to add integers. You're not gonna learn how to subtract them, because all subtraction is an addition problem, right? Like, who knew that was what it was? So I have a saying that I always like to say: 6th graders subtract, 7th graders add the opposite, okay? And that's going to come up over and over again in some of these problems. So for the first part that I want to talk about, so we'll get to the add the opposite, but the other thing that I want to talk about is when we have these numbers like this. Guys, I like to think of the negative team and the positive team, because there's no negative sign there, right? So it's positive. We want to think of these as 2 different teams. Sometimes we combine the teams, right? Because that's going to give us a team that is -8, okay? Sometimes, though, they're on separate teams like I did, -3 plus 7. These guys are on separate teams. What we want to do is look for the larger team, and in this case, the 7 is the larger one. There's more players, I guess you could say, on the larger team, on the positive team. So that means our answer is going to be positive. But the positive team is larger by how many? By 4, okay? So let's get into some problems here. That'll make a little bit more sense. Okay, so on this lesson, so they're talking about showing different problems on a number line. I think it can be a little bit confusing that way, so I'm just going to have you start straight into integers, like I was saying with those teams, the positive and negative team. Give me a second here. So let's go back to that. We're going to do 6 plus -3. 6 plus -3. If you need it, a reminder, that's what these are going to be. So on our yellow side, that's our positive team, and our positive team has 6 players. Do you see that? Our negative team has 3 players. All right, so each one of these players cancels each other out. Okay, these guys go away. How many do we have left? We have 3 on the positive team. Now I'm putting a little plus sign up here just to show that it's positive. You don't have to do that, but I wanted to as I introduce these to you. Okay. So guys, for this assignment, the examples are on, oops, sorry about that, page 21. And it's saying use arrows to show each addition or subtraction problem on a number line, okay? I'm gonna do it a little different, so I'm gonna go through this with you. And as you go through this book and you get number line questions, just answer them this way. So for A, we have 4 plus 2. Essentially, that's taking 4 on our positive team, and then we have 2 on the other positive team. How many do we have on our positive team now? We got 6. 6 on the positive team, okay? So for B, we have 4 minus 2. Okay, so here's what I was saying about adding the opposite. We no longer subtract, we add the opposite. So when you see a subtraction sign like this, you're going to change it to add, and then what's the opposite of positive 2? Negative 2, okay? Now we're in a position to answer that question. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 on the positive team, 2 on the negative team. These guys cancel out, right? This cancels out, right? We're left with 2 on the positive team. So plus 2. So let's back up. Before I move on to C, I just want to do a refresh on that adding the opposite. 10 minus 7. We don't subtract, we add, and then the opposite of positive 7 is negative 7, okay? We'll go over this a little bit more in the next few lessons as well. 6 minus negative 2. We don't subtract, we add, and then the opposite of negative 2, positive 2. 6 plus 2 gives us 8. Hopefully that's making a little bit of sense. If not, it will in the next video. Okay, so for C, we have 2 minus 4. 2 minus 4. We don't subtract, we add, and then the opposite of positive 4 is negative 4. Good. We have 4 players on our negative team and 2 on our positive team. Which team is larger? Looks like it's the negative one. They've got 4 players. By how many? By 2. Okay. All right. So for D, it's saying to arrange these numbers in order from least to greatest. Remember, this is a trick. When we're talking positive numbers, 3 is greater than 1. But when we're talking negative, we got to flip that around. So we want our largest negative number, which is negative 3. Then it's negative 2, negative 1, and 0. So hopefully you did that one correctly. Okay, so for E, it's saying use digits and other symbols to write the sum of 2 and 3 is less than the product of 2 and 3. Let me back up and talk about this. For the longest time, I couldn't tell the difference between these symbols. And I'm sure, do you guys remember the alligator symbols when you were younger? You had like 8 here and 10 here, and the alligator opens to the larger number. That's the same thing. We're going to be doing that. These are called inequalities, okay? We're going to be working with these now and in algebra. But what I could never remember about these symbols was which one is less than and which is greater than. Conveniently, less than starts with an L, right? This kind of looks like an L, right? Could be an L, right? That's the less than. That's how you determine less than. Okay? This one is greater than. Greater than. Okay, so for E, it's asking us to use digits and symbols to write this sentence. The sum of 2 and 3. Remember, the sum means adding. So the sum of 2 and 3 is less than, and I want you to write this down, is less than, not just less than, it has to have an is in there. That equals this guy, right? Because it looks like an L. Okay, is less than. So looks like an L. The product of 2 and 3, and remember, product means multiply. So 2 times 3. Let's determine if this situation is true. 2 plus 3 is 5, less than 2 times 3 is 6. Is the alligator opening the larger number? Sure is, so this is a true statement. Okay, for F, replace each circle with the proper symbol. All right, so we've got this guy right here, and then we have G, 2 times 2, 2 plus 2. Okay, so when they're asking you to replace with those symbols, there's less than, because it looks like an L, greater than, and then there's also the equals one, okay? Looking at this guy, we want to open to the larger number. Remember, the further away from 0, well, I shouldn't say it like that because that's going to be absolute value. We want to get as far to the right as possible. So this guy is going to be larger than this guy. And it's easy when we're comparing positives and negatives, right? You always want $3 in your checking account and not -4, right? Okay, so let's compare this next guy. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 plus 2 is 4. So these are neither less than nor greater than, they are equal. Equal. All right. H. Where is the origin on the number line? Origin equals 0. Origin equals 0. That's where it's going to be on the number line. I. Simplify 436 minus 630. 436 minus 630. Now, 6th graders subtract, 7th graders add the opposite. Add, and then the opposite of positive 630 is negative 630, okay? Now, looking at this guy, we can see that our negative team is definitely larger, right? So we're gonna put negative right here. Now, all we're trying to do when we have two different teams, we're trying to find the difference between those teams. Guys, if you can look back in your notes to lesson 1, you will remember that difference just means subtract. Once we've established our sign, all we have to do is subtract, and it's a lot easier to subtract the bigger number from the smaller one, okay? So 0, I can't do that. It's gonna be 2, and this will be 10. 4, and then I need to borrow because I can't do 2 minus 3, so this is going to be 5. That'll be 12. 9, 5 minus 1. So our answer is negative 194. Which team is larger? The negative team, so it's a negative answer. By how many? By 194, because I found the difference between those. All right, that is it for those practice problems. If you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, I'll see you for the next lesson. Thanks, guys.